6 women, 6 moments of defiance, and 6 endings so shocking they had to be seen to be believed. Horror. What began as small acts of stubborn pride spiraled into tragedies caught forever on record. But in the end, you have to ask, how far will human arrogance push us before fate finally pushes back? July 14th, 2019, Phoenix, Arizona, 4:37 in the afternoon. The sun burns white hot in the sky, pressing down on the city with a heat of 112 degrees. The air wavers above the black asphalt, bending light into ripples that make the street look like water. Cicadas rattle in the dry mesquite trees, their steady buzz filling the silence between passing cars. This is where Karen number 1 begins her last story. She is 48 years old, with a voice her neighbors say could cut through steel and a will that bends to no one. She believes rules are written for other people, never for her. Her dream is simple yet sharp, to show everyone she cannot be stopped. She says it again and again at backyard gatherings, her hands clutching a glass of sweet tea, sweat dripping from its sides as she warns anyone who dares question her. Friends whisper their concerns. One day you're going to push too far, they say. She only laughs, brushing away their worries as if swatting at a fly. That afternoon, she grips the steering wheel of her car so tight her knuckles turn pale, the sticky vinyl pressing into her palms. A faint scent of gasoline leaks from the tank, mixing with the burnt tang of rubber tires pressed against hot pavement. The engine hums low and steady, a sound that runs up her arms and into her chest like a heartbeat. She stares ahead, eyes unblinking, wide and fierce, with the faint reflection of a fire that is not real but lives inside her. Just blocks away, a faded sign rattles in the wind. Danger, keep out. It sways back and forth, creaking like a voice begging her to turn around. She does not. Somewhere in the distance a siren wails, faint, an echo of what is to come. A year later, June 3rd, 2020, Cape Cod, Massachusetts, 9:18 in the morning. The air is cooler here, a salty breeze pushing across the shore, carrying the smell of seaweed and brine. The tide is low, leaving slick stretches of sand that glisten like mirrors under the gray sky. Karen number 2 stands at the edge of the beach, her shoes sinking half an inch into the wet sand with each step. She is 53, tall and proud, with hair pulled tight and a voice that rises like the gulls overhead. Her life has been a series of small battles, neighbors over property lines, shopkeepers over prices, strangers over masks. For her, every no is a wall she must break. Her dream, she often tells anyone who listens, is to live without being told what to do. She folds her arms and repeats, "The sea belongs to all of us. Nobody tells me where I can go." Friends warn her too. "The water here is rough," they say. "Don't go out past the line." She lifts her chin, her eyes glinting like wet stone. The warning rolls off her like rain. The waves slap at the shore, 3 beats in rhythm, smack, 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 like the slow pounding of a drum. The sky darkens, clouds rolling in, their bellies heavy with rain. Still she pushes forward, her bare feet now sinking deeper, toes curling in the cold grit of sand. A thin rope hangs along the edge of the dunes, marked with signs, "No entry beyond this point." She grabs it with both hands and shoves it down, her voice rising with the cry of gulls as she declares her freedom. The wind whips around her, sharp, biting, carrying with it the scent of storm. For Karen number 1 in Arizona, the clock strikes 4:39 p.m. She ignores the creaking sign, steps into the forbidden stretch of cracked road, and presses harder on the gas. By 4:42 she has crossed the point of no return. The gusts of wind that roll in carry not only the sting of heat, but the faint smell of ozone, warning of lightning close by. Thunder rumbles faintly overhead, a sound she does not care to notice. At first it seems as though she is winning, pushing ahead without trouble. Her chin lifts high, her chest swells, and for a moment she looks like she has conquered the world. But then it begins, a sharp crack, sudden and loud, like a whip across the sky. Something shifts where stillness should have remained. Neighbors standing near gasp, their voices a thin layer of panic cutting into the thick air. Seconds stretch, rescue crews stir, boots scrape against gravel. Sirens rise sharper now, closer, racing toward her. Hope and dread pull at each other in the air, one heartbeat at a time. At Cape Cod, it is 9:22 a.m. Karen number 2 steps into the sea, water rushing around her ankles, cold enough to sting like needles. She keeps walking, each step splashing louder, the tide climbing to her calves, then her knees. At first it feels like victory, the waves bowing before her as she laughs into the wind. A gull swoops low, screeching, startled by her voice. For one breath, she believes she has proven herself right. But then the tide shifts. A sudden pull drags at her feet, stronger than she expects, tugging her balance away. She stumbles, catches herself, and straightens, but the water grows higher, the pull sharper, and her face changes. The smile falters. Observers on the sand call out, their shouts breaking against the roar of the waves. Rescue teams stir, the engines of boats coughing awake, lifeguards sprinting across the beach, their whistles slicing through the salty air. Still, the tide rises, the sky lowers, and the clock ticks louder in every breath she takes. The point of no return has passed, and now the sea begins to claim her. August 11th, 2021, Denver, Colorado, 5:06 in the evening. The sky glows orange as the sun drops low behind the mountains, streaking the clouds with fire. The air is thin here, dry, holding the faint smell of dust and pine needles. Karen number 3, age 41, pulls the straps of her climbing harness tight against her waist. She has told friends for weeks that she does not need a guide, does not need to follow the marked trail. "I know what I'm doing," she repeats, her voice sharp as the clicking sound of the carabiner snapping shut. A ranger nearby warns her the route she wants is off limits, too steep and unstable. The ranger's words hang heavy, like the shadows stretching across the rocks, but she brushes them away. She stares at the slope rising above her, a jagged wall of stone that climbs 60 feet toward the darkening sky. Her hands grip the rope, rough fibers burning her palms. She begins to climb. By 5:11, she is halfway up, her arms straining, muscles trembling, yet her face set firm with pride. The granite is cool under her fingers, slick with a thin sheen of dust. At first it feels like success. Her breath comes quick but steady, and she looks down at the ranger below, almost smiling as if daring him to stop her. The wind whistles low across the slope, carrying with it the sharp bite of mountain air. But then the first stone shifts beneath her foot, rolling away and clattering against the rock. The sound echoes like a warning bell, sharp and hollow. She steadies herself, jaw clenched, refusing to climb down. Time ticks forward. 5:13, 5:14. The orange glow of sunset fades darker. The air cooler, shadows thicker. Observers near the base of the slope murmur, their voices tight with fear. Rescue crews gather ropes and helmets, their movements quick but not yet frantic. Still, she climbs higher, each step pulling her closer to the edge of safety and deeper into danger. September 2nd, 2022, Houston, Texas, 10:27 at night. Rain slams against the city, sheets of water pouring down the streets, turning gutters into rushing rivers. The smell of wet asphalt rises strong and bitter, mixing with the metallic tang of storm water. Karen number 4, age 50, pulls a raincoat tight around her shoulders, though it does little to keep her dry. She is known for standing her ground in every storm of life, and tonight is no different. A police officer blocks the flooded road with bright cones, his flashlight beam cutting across the dark. "The water is too deep," he shouts. "Stay back." She waves him off, her voice rising above the thunder. "It's only water. I know this street. I've driven it 100 times." Her car hums as she turns the key, the dashboard lights flickering green and red. At 10:31 she presses the gas, wheels rolling forward, pushing past the cones. Rain lashes against the windshield, wipers squealing back and forth. For a moment it feels like she is right, the tires cutting steady ripples through the dark flood. She grips the wheel tight, knuckles pale, her chin lifted in triumph. But then the nose of the car dips, the road vanishes under 3 feet of black water, deeper than she imagined. The engine sputters, chokes, then roars again, fighting. She leans forward, pressing the pedal harder, the smell of burning oil rising as the motor strains. Observers under a street light wave their arms, their shouts nearly drowned by the storm. Time crawls forward. 10:33, 10:34. The car jerks, tilts, and the water climbs higher, reaching the doors. Rescue trucks start their engines, red lights flashing against the rain-soaked night. Back in Denver, Karen number 3 clings to the slope. Her right hand slips, nails scraping against stone. Pebbles clatter down, striking helmets below. Her chest heaves, lungs burning from the thin air. She looks up, only 6 feet left to the top, the promise of victory so close it shines in her eyes. But the rocks shift again, louder this time, a groaning crack splitting the silence. A rope is thrown upward, a rescuer's voice calling out, "Grab on." She does not. Her pride holds her tighter than the rope could. The seconds stretch like years. Hope teeters on the edge of collapse. In Houston, the flood presses harder against Karen number 4's car. Water seeps through the doors, rising cold around her ankles. The smell of wet fabric fills the air, strong and musty. She pounds the steering wheel, refusing to open the door, muttering, "I can push through." Outside, rescuers wade into chest-deep water, ropes slung across their shoulders, voices hoarse from shouting. The storm roars louder, thunder cracking overhead, each boom shaking the night like the growl of an angry sky. For both women, the point of no return is past. Karen number 3 dangles, her body trembling, stone biting into her palms. Karen number 4 sits trapped, the water up to her knees, headlights flickering dim under the flood. Observers watch, torn between fear and hope. Rescuers rush faster now, their boots scraping, their shouts breaking the air, their tools clanging. But time is no friend. Each minute cuts sharper, the line between life and loss thinner. The storms of mountain and city close in, leaving both women caught between their will to win and the force of nature that does not bend. October 21st, 2023, Portland, Oregon, 7:44 in the evening. The air is heavy with mist, cool drops clinging to jackets and hair. The streets slick with rain that has been falling since morning. Neon signs glow red and blue in the puddles, rippling whenever a car passes. The sound of water dripping from roof edges mixes with the faint buzz of power lines above. Karen number 5, 46 years old, stands in the middle of it all, her breath rising like smoke in the damp air. She has always said rules are cages, and that she would rather risk everything than feel trapped. Tonight, her eyes shine with the fire of that belief. She pulls her jacket tighter, her hand trembling but her chin lifted high. Her friends had begged her to slow down, to stop pressing against every wall she saw, but her answer was always the same: "Nobody tells me no." At 7:47, she steps toward the bridge that stretches across the river, a steel frame that looms 50 feet above the dark water. Signs flash along the edges: "Walled-way closed, construction." Chains hang across the entry, damp and rusted, a lock glinting faintly in the misty glow of a streetlight. She kicks at the chain until it rattles, then ducks beneath, her boots splashing in a shallow puddle as she enters. Her footsteps echo on the metal walkway, each one a hollow thud that vanishes into the fog. For a moment she feels alive, her chest swelling with the power of her choice. The river below churns, thick with rain, it smells sharp and raw like iron. The mist rises around her, wrapping her in a cold veil, but she pushes forward, shoulders squared. At 7:50, the first hint of danger comes. A low groan trembles through the bridge's frame, a vibration that hums under her boots. She pauses, looks down, then shakes her head. "It's fine," she whispers to herself, her voice barely louder than the hiss of rain. She walks faster, the steel beneath her creaking louder. Observers on the street below catch sight of her through the fog. A man calls out, his words lost in the roar of water. Rescue teams are alerted, their radios crackling to life. At 7:53, she reaches the center of the bridge. For a heartbeat, it feels like victory. She spreads her arms wide, rain soaking through her jacket, her face lifted toward the gray sky. She laughs, a sharp sound that cuts through the mist. But then the twist. A bolt loosened by weeks of rain snaps with a sound like a gunshot. Metal shifts, screeching, a sharp cry that echoes across the river. The walkway trembles beneath her. She stumbles, arms flailing, boots slipping against the slick steel. She grabs the railing, her fingers wrapping tight, nails scraping across wet rust. Rescue sirens wail closer, red lights flashing faint through the fog, but she does not move toward them. She holds tight, her jaw clenched, rain dripping from her hair into her eyes. The metal groans again, louder, deeper, the sound of something breaking apart. A crack splits the walkway 3 feet from where she stands, the gap opening like a mouth ready to swallow. She gasps, her breath sharp and loud in the night air. Below her the river surges, a black whirlpool lit by the faint reflection of neon signs. At 7:55, the final break comes. The steel gives way with a scream, sharp and shattering. The section beneath her drops, tilted, and she falls. Her body slams against the railing, then plunges downward. Rain and wind rush past her face, cold and biting. She hits the water with a crash that sends up a spray of icy mist. For a second she surfaces, gasping, her arms flailing against the pull of the current. Her voice rises, a cry swallowed by the roar of the river. Rescuers shout, ropes thrown into the water, but the current is too fast. She vanishes beneath, the surface rippling shut above her. The cruel irony is sharp. Her cell phone, knocked free from her pocket, floats on the water, its screen still glowing with a message she never sent. It drifts gently toward the shore, unharmed, while she is lost to the depths. The river carries her away, her dream of never being told no dissolving into the flood. Witnesses cover their mouths, some sobbing, others silent, as the red lights of rescue trucks flash across the mist. The steel bridge, broken and swaying, stands above like a skeleton of iron, groaning in the rain. She is gone, and the echo of her laughter lingers only in memory, a sound swallowed by water and darkness. In the end, she is like a candle caught in a storm, her flames snuffed in a single gust, leaving only smoke curling upward into the mist. The dream of freedom, so bright in her heart, now rests against the cold silence of the river. Nature has won again, firm and final, while her defiance sinks into the dark, leaving the world above to grieve and remember. November 9th, 2024, Miami, Florida, 2:12 in the afternoon. The sun blazes hot against the ocean, bright enough to sting the eyes, the air sticky with salt and heat. The waves crash hard against the seawall, their sound booming like a drum, steady and endless. Karen, number 6, age 54, stands near the edge of the pier, her sandals tapping against the wooden boards. For weeks she has told people that storms are just nature's way of testing us. She believes rules are only traps made by weak people. That morning she had argued with her family, brushing off their fears about the incoming tropical storm. "It's only wind and water," she snapped, her voice sharp like glass breaking. Her family begged her to stay home, but she pulled away, walking out the door with her head high. Now she stands at the pier's end, her arms folded tight, watching the sea churn with foam and anger. By 2:20 the clouds deepen, dark gray and rolling, their bellies swollen with rain. The smell of seaweed grows stronger, mixing with the sharp sting of salt that bites at her lips. Warning signs flap in the gusts. Storm surge, no entry. The sound of the wind rises, a howl that twists around the boards, tugging at her clothes, pulling her hair across her face. Still she will not move. Tourists nearby point and whisper, their voices drowned by the roar of the waves. Rescue workers at the shoreline shout through bullhorns, warning her to step back. She turns, shakes her head, and faces the water again, her jaw locked. At 2:27, the first sheets of rain arrive, cold needles striking her skin, soaking through her blouse. The pier trembles with each wave, the wooden planks groaning. For a moment she smiles, lifting her arms as if to embrace the storm. It feels to her like triumph, as though she has tamed the sea by daring it. But then the sea answers back. A wave 12 feet tall rises from the churn, dark and heavy. It crashes over the pier, drenching her, knocking her against the railing.